Okay, good afternoon. My name is Ian Murray, and this is the weather briefing for Liberty University. So today we'll be going from Nut Tree to Redding, California. Here is the overview. Nut Tree or Victor Charlie Bravo to Sacramento to Redding to Victor Charlie Bravo again. Overall distance is 322 statute miles. We'll be in a 172S, cruising at 6,000. Departure at 2200 Zulu. ETA is 0000 Zulu to Reading. And today, so I've gone ahead and compiled the weather data for this flight, and we'll be giving a weather briefing and then summarizing with a go or no go decision based on the weather conditions. So, the synopsis: we have a low pressure system that dominates Northern California. Clear skies prevail throughout the route. Frontal systems northeast of the planned route, but really benign. And then dry conditions with excellent visibility across the Sacramento Valley. Some moderate winds expected, and coastal fog and visibility, but not a factor. Definitely some density altitude concerns, but we'll get into that. The departure at Victor Charlie Bravo is looking pretty good. Wind at 170 at 5 knots, visibility greater than 10, skies clear. It's warm, temperature at 32°C and dew point at 17°C, so warm and dry. Overall, great conditions for VFR flying, unlimited ceilings and light winds here, no precipitation. The 2,400-foot density altitude is something to think about, but well within my envelope. So really, no flags here for my personal minimums. Sacramento is nearby and has very similar weather as you would expect. 190 at 7 knots in the winds. Otherwise, more or less the same. 33 degrees, skies clear, 10-mile visibility, and slightly lower density altitude. So this is absolutely not a factor either. Would go ahead and proceed with this flight given these conditions so far. So, uh, uh, Sacramento and VCB are very close to each other, but this is really the en route section from Sacramento to Redding. So looking at the en route charts, we see visibility greater than 10 miles overall, clear skies, no significant weather outlooks, nor any convective signets to be concerned with, no mountain obscuration. Throughout the flight, light winds to the southwest. Smooth flying expected overall. You see a turbulence chart here, relatively benign turbulence, very light, and freezing level really not a factor here, above 15,000 feet, so well above our cruising altitude. And just looking at some of the other charts here, so see the synopsis in the center here, and then looking at cloud coverage on the left and precipitation on the right here. Really good conditions overall. No clouds within the entire state, with the exception of a handful of coastal areas, and then no precipitation within the state at all. And conditions local to Redding, so wind variable at 5 knots at the moment. Visibility 10 miles, clear skies. It's a little bit warmer. Temperature 37°C is something to be considerate of. Dew point at 9°C, so even drier conditions. Overall, it's very hot. Aside from that, great overall flying conditions. But the density altitude, 3,337 feet, that's within my envelope. I might consider the high temps as well. Maybe I wouldn't spend too much time on the ground there. Really just get in, take a break if you need to, and get out of that heat and get back. That would not be really pleasant to stay at on the taxiway for extended periods of time. The forecast. So reporting winds variable 5 knots, and then looking ahead, we're seeing starting at 2100 winds at 170, 9 knots, and gusting up to 18. So yeah, some something to be considerate of. Again, that's within my envelope. And as the temperature cools, those gusts start to reduce. We see 180 at 7 at 0300 Zulu, and we see variable at 4 knots at 0500. So kind of tying this all together and assessing what this means. Overall, good conditions. So I think the biggest factor, the high density altitude, It's likely we'll get a good DA getting into Reading. That will drop throughout the course of the day as the temperatures start to cool off here, given that it's the afternoon. Recommendation to proceed, but be cognizant of the performance profile of the aircraft. Add potentially margin for climbs and roll out during takeoff and landing. Significant weather, thunderstorms, very low, effectively zero. Impact is medium, but really not a factor. Would go ahead and proceed, given those considerations. And then looking at the high winds, I think there's medium probability for high winds. The impact is relatively low. If it does become a factor, watch the crosswind component. Increase speed on final approach and then reduce flaps. If it does start to become a factor. But overall, within my envelope, I think I would proceed with this flight as is. Watch the winds, watch the density, altitude. But overall, that's within my comfort level. It's within my personal minimums, and given how great everything else looks, I would proceed with this cross country flight. All right, thank you very much.